couple different teams around the country I want to talk about, but before we get into any of that, we have some big news coming out of college football. I think it broke either Monday night or Tuesday that USC was hiring Kliff Kingsbury. Alec, why don't you talk about that first?
Dude, I mean, that's nuts. I mean, obviously we look at Lincoln Riley, and he's clearly one of the best coaches in the country for sure.
Yeah.
But definitely, I would say the best quarterback mind in the country. You add Kliff Kingsbury, to that, it's nuts. You have the reigning Heisman. We were talking about Caleb Williams a little bit last week. It's funny that this broke the week after we kind of get on USC. So, but yeah, man, I mean, you look at his resume and what he's been able to do, and obviously, again, with Lincoln's resume and what he's been able to do at the quarterback position, yes, he's also a great offensive mind, and we'll get into that, that kind of stuff. But as far as the quarterback position is concerned, it's nuts.
Yeah.
I don't think you could have went and got another better quarterback mind.
Now here's the thing. There's a little bit of a misconception that Kliff Kingsbury is going to be like a quarterback's coach or offensive coordinator. That's not the case. He was hired as a senior offensive analyst, so he actually does not have access to actively coach or instruct players. He's just going to have more of an analyst role. He'll be able to watch film and that kind of stuff. In terms of game planning and scheming, he'll be a big part of that. But it's not like he's going to be on the field coaching up Caleb Williams.
Right. And so this is what I want to look at too. It's like, I know we've talked about this, a while back, I guess, but basically looking at coaches' stints in the NFL and in college and like kind of comparing, like in the NFL it was, just garbage, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was.
I don't think we can
he had a combined losing record with Arizona.
Yeah, so and I think they have the third pick this year. Like they were the third worst team in the league. Obviously he gets fired, so that's never good. But man, so let's talk about that, right? Of course we get the, I guess, misconception, because I saw quarterback coach a lot. That's not going to be the case. But
I think that's just kind of what people assumed. But when you go back and look at the role, and matter of fact, the NCAA voted on it if they would be able to allow more coaches on a staff, and they voted no.
Right.
So he's replacing an offensive analyst spot that USC had last year that, again, does not have access to actively coach or instruct players on field.
Okay. Why do you think he would even take that job?
I'll tell you why. I think this is the best possible role that he could be in for USC.
Right.
I agree that this is big. I do, like I said, there's a misconception about what his role is actually going to be, but this is the best job he could possibly take. You look at his track record of quarterbacks, right? You can go back to Houston. He had Case Keenum. Mm-hmm. You can go back to
one of the best college quarterbacks ever.
No doubt. You go back to Texas A&M. He coached Johnny Manziel. He was the offensive coordinator that year, right? Or one of those years that Johnny Manziel was there.
Right.
Then he goes over to Texas Tech. He has Baker, and then he has Patrick Mahomes.
The GOAT.
And then he goes to the league, and he has Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
So he has all these quarterbacks that have played under him. Now, here's the problem. You have on-field problems and conflicts between Kliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray in the NFL. And then you go back to hear what Baker Mayfield had to say about Kliff Kingsbury. So these are two of the five quarterbacks that we're talking about that did not have a good relationship with him. If you take him out of you don't put him on the field where he's actually conversing and talking with these players, and I'm sure he will be, but not in a coaching aspect, right?
Yeah.
So if he just gets
he's breaking down film and stuff with them, though.
No doubt. But if he's not coaching them on field and having a poor relationship with these players, and he just gets to have his quarterback and football mind go into game planning, scheming, and how these players are going to develop, I think that's the best possible role he can be in.
I agree, but why? You go from there's 32 men on earth that have a head coaching job in the NFL. It's one of the most I would say it's the most desirable position in sports.
Yeah.
From a coaching standpoint, of course, obviously GM, owner, whatever. But so, and then you go to a offensive analyst. Like that's, I don't know. I'm not judging him, obviously, but I'm just saying that's like my point is I bet he could easily take an OC job at a lot of places.
Yeah.
So one, I'm like, wow, the fact that he's getting in like that is kind of cool, I guess, because he obviously sees himself catapulting into a spot.
You say that. You say that, right? He could go get an OC job at a lot of places, and maybe that's true. But I don't think at a lot of huge places,
right?
Because we saw what he did in the NFL, and I know it's a different game, right? He had a combined losing record in the NFL. But if you go back to what he did at Texas Tech, he had a combined losing record there,
right?
He had two really good seasons, right? Whenever he had Baker, I think even when he had Baker, he didn't have a great year with him. He just coached him up, and then Baker went and shined at Oklahoma with Lincoln. And then you can go back and say the same about Mahomes. Mahomes, again, great. He developed him amazing. He's one of the best. He is the best quarterback in the NFL right now.
In the world.
Patrick Mahomes is. But even with that team, they went to the Alamo Bowl and lost.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Mahomes put up 800 or like 900 combined yards and lost.
No doubt. Mahomes was great, and Mahomes was a well-oiled machine at Texas Tech, but it is what it is, that he didn't have an amazing record there, and then he didn't have it in the league.
Now, you know who he lost to in that game? Baker. Funny enough.
I don't believe so.
No, it was. That game where they both, like, they had two of those crazy stat lines.
I think they played each other, but not in the bowl game.
Oh, well, anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's my point. I don't know what kind of high caliber job he could go get now after at least looking at the record failing in the collegiate level and the NFL level.
Yeah.
I think this is a great opportunity for him to get back around those great quarterbacks, because they're not going to stop going to USC.
No.
They're going to go play under Lincoln Riley and have a guy like Kliff Kingsbury developing them.
Right.
So I think this is a great spot for him.
Yeah, and I mean, and again, we'll go back to like the player, I guess, effect. Like, what is Caleb Williams going to – I mean, like, this is going to be nuts watching them this year.
Yeah, he already won the Heisman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have much more that he can go. Now, granted, he can develop more.
Of course.
He can develop more and then step into an NFL role in a year from now. But in terms of the college game, he's already done everything he can do.
Yeah.
Minus win the conference and win the championship. But from an individual perspective,
Yes.
he's done everything he can do.
Right. Like, minus, have a good – well, but anyway.
But we're talking about him as a player.
Yes. Yeah. And funny enough, he even said that on the stage at the Heisman. He was like, well, I have something different than all of y'all. Y'all are all still playing.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, I don't know. I think it's dope for USC.
No doubt.
I think it's dope for Kliff too, but I wonder if he had any other offers or anything. I mean, he got fired, and I don't know this to be 100% true. I think it was 3 or 4 months ago. Like, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
Since he got fired. No, it might have been longer than that. My point is, he's had time to field offers. I wonder what other offers he had, because I don't know.
And that plays to my point a little bit.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching that clip. You can check out another in the top left-hand corner or the bottom right-hand corner. You can always subscribe as well to this channel or to Cards and Culture. That's linked as well. That's going to be our long-form content.
Yeah, make sure to check out the Discord in the description. Like, comment, subscribe, and we can keep this thing free forever.